Guys, can you see and hear us?
I hope so.
I hope so. I mean, I think you can at least see the comments, which for a minute there, I don't think you can see me typing to you. Please comment and let us know if you can see us. We're having some, yay! Thank you guys so much for your patience. We had some technical difficulties, but we have overcome. Awesome, Ray. Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Blay. Yay, Charmaine. All right, guys. So sorry to keep you waiting for so long. But here we are. Nicole Hanchi, Danny Young, ready to dish some awesome sauce for you guys. So, yes, I know, finally. Sorry, we didn't mean to be late. We were hustling and scrambling to figure out why. We were broadcasting and you guys couldn't see us, so we were talking to ourselves. But all right, guys, let's get down to business. Danny's going to kick us off. He's going to start talking to you about closing. We're going to share our rock star closing regime. Let's do it. You guys ready? Let us know in the comments that you are ready.
I'm pretty sure they're ready.
Right? Full speed ahead. Get those warp engines going, right? We have a Star Trek theme going on.
Hopefully you can see the slides.
Yes. Yeah, we can see your slides.
And if I do this, can you see the slides?
Yes, looking good.
Wow, that's works for the first time ever.
Yeah, well, at least something went well the first try today, because we were talking to ourselves before.
Okay, so guys, so sorry we were late. I was on a different webinar for a while. There was some sort of glitch in the back office, but we're here now. And we've got some great stuff to share with you about the Rockstar closing regime. We're going to give you part 1 this evening. Part 2 is going to be coming next week. So this is a 2-part series. You can't afford to miss the next installment. So be sure to register for that. Let's move on. Let's get cracking because we know we're behind schedule. When you're closing people, for me, closing isn't something that happens at the end of a process anymore. It used to be, in fact, in my sales career that I had before I got into network marketing many years ago. But now it's not. Closing actually starts right at the beginning of the process for me. As we're saying here, this is about establishing yourself as an authority up front. You can't expect to come into contact with somebody straight away and immediately pitch your business, which happens to me a lot when I meet people online, and you can't expect that to work. There's this very, very distinct barrier online that doesn't exist in the real world. It's technology. You have a barrier between you and the person that you're prospecting. You know, really, you shouldn't even look at it as prospecting. The person you are, or you should be building a relationship with. You have this barrier of technology, so you have to.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt your flow, but they cannot see anything. They can neither see you nor your slides. So can you stop your screen share and restart it, please?
Of course. Hang on a second.
Sorry.
Let's go
back. I was
back.
trying different things and nothing was working, so this was my last resort.
How do I stop
Can you see him now? Okay, so I think they can see you now, so that's good.
Right. Okay. That's okay. But what they really want to see is slides. Where are the slides? Why have they now gone?
Yeah, you should be seeing Danny now. Awesome. Now he's gonna reshare his screen, and then I'll check again, hopefully. Oh, Leah says that they did see the. Ray says you are a good-looking man.
Oh, that's very kind, right? Thank you. Now I can't find the presentation in the screen share option, which is.
Is Mercury in retrograde? What's going on here?
What on earth is happening this evening?
Oh, but we're having a good time, right?
Yeah, we are. This is not the slickest. Right, let me close this down.
Yes, it's that wormhole. Spock, yeah, Spock can find anything.
And then open it back up again. Just bear with me. It was there, it's now gone.
You guys like my backdrop? I'm in Maddie's room today, hiding with the door locked from the 2 sick kids. So hopefully Hopefully it'll be nice and quiet for us. Okay, can you see his slides now, guys? Spock found the slides.
You have the slides?
Can you see the title slide, guys? Can you just put a quick comment for us? Okay, I get a yep from Beverly. Thank you. Okay, Charmaine says yes, let's go for it. Full speed ahead. Okay. Thank you, Carol. Thanks, Ray.
So, right. I was talking, everyone can see this, I'm going to carry on. I was talking about the fact that the closing process actually starts right at the beginning of the first engagement that you have with your prospect. And, you know, you have to remember that people come onto social media because they want to be entertained and informed. They don't come on to be pitched a business opportunity. So that's what you need to be doing. You've got to bear in mind that there is a user who's having an experience, and if you can position yourself and empathize and think about the experience that the other person is having, then you're going to be in a very good place, because you want to be mindful of that at all times. And you especially want to be mindful of that on Facebook, because Facebook have their own algorithms and rules, which are all completely user-centric. They're all about the user experience. And if you're not kind of adhering to those rules, then you're going to find yourself in trouble. So you need to work within the parameters of Facebook and start from a perspective that considers the user. So what you want to be doing, as I said before the slides kind of crashed, is that you want to be entertaining and informing people. You want to be sharing information with people that's going to be congruent with the reason why they're on social media, but in a way that you can actually use to leverage yourself in their eyes as somebody that's going to be bringing value to them. And when we talk about keeping it classy, this is a really, really important point. And I see this a lot. I was scrolling through my feed earlier, and, you know, somebody that I'd very recently accepted a friend request from, who'd come into my community, had put a post up, and it contained foul and abusive language. It was derogatory to a certain individual. And as soon as I saw that, I just thought, okay, that doesn't look great. And the challenge with that is that if you are in the profession of network marketing and you're trying to build a business online, and you are putting that kind of stuff out there onto your profile, then when people seek you out, and the first thing that they're going to do, when people encounter you, let's say, because they might not have sought you out, but let's say they've encountered you and they're looking to consider whether or not they want to connect with you, that kind of stuff in your profile is just going to have them running in the opposite direction. You've got to keep it classy. Thinking about the pictures that you share, the videos that you share. You know, I've seen some pretty weird videos as well over the past couple of weeks. The kind of language that you're using, you've got to people. It's really important that you set the right tone with people. We talk about breaking down barriers here. This is where you've got to make it as easy as possible for people to want to connect with you. You know, you've got to keep your profiles open. Again, I get people that come into my community and they are clearly in network marketing, but then when I try and connect with them, the only thing that I can do is send them a message. They don't have an open profile. And again, if you're not open to networking with people, then you're going to find yourself really, really struggling, because you have to build connections with people. And Facebook is a great way to have multiple touch points with people, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But if you're kind of locking yourself away behind your profile, then you're going to struggle. And I think it's important just to think about having your profile open for people to see and access, and then make sure that the stuff that you're sharing publicly is stuff that you're comfortable sharing publicly. So there are ways that you can tweak the settings. This isn't about that tonight, but you can tweak the settings in Facebook so that you can show certain stuff to certain audiences. It's kind of slightly more advanced, but there are ways that you can do that. But you know, the best thing that I can suggest to people is to learn how to do that stuff, rather than just locking yourself down and not being open to the world. So when it comes to profiles, you want to optimize your usernames. You want to have the same username across the different social media profiles that you're present on, making it easy for people to find you. You want to make sure that, you know, as I said, everything's open for people to see, and only share information that you want other people to be seeing. When it comes to being a tease, which is a phrase that I love, what you want to be thinking about here is, instead of plastering your social media profile, your Facebook profile with your business opportunity and product information, you want to instead create curiosity. You want to create intrigue. You know, for me, I've said this before, it's game over for you if your Facebook profile is covered in information about your business opportunity, because the people that are going to come and check you out, if you try and reach out to people, they're going to come and check you out. Two things are going to happen. Firstly, they're going to think, wow, this person is pitching heavy, pitching hard. That kind of feels like that I'm going to be experiencing that. I'm not sure that I'm open to that. And they're going to turn around and walk away. The other thing is that they're going to see the company that you're with. And if they were ever interested in network marketing, or, you know, they're going to do their research based on looking at the company that you're with. And they're going to find something negative, because negativity exists out there, and they're not going to engage with you. I can guarantee that that's going to happen. And I see so many people making this simple mistake. And I say this as well all of the time. I know that this is just purely down to education, because people aren't being told the right way to do things. That's why Nicole and I run these webinars every Tuesday, because we want to help people to understand that there is a right way, a way that gets results, where you can use Facebook. You know, let's not even talk about social media as broadly as that. Let's narrow it right down to Facebook. You can use Facebook to build your network marketing business, absolutely, if you do it the right way. If you do it the wrong way, you are going to be stuck. And to use a Nicoleism, you're going to churn and churn, and you're never going to get ahead because of some of these fundamental basic mistakes that are being made. So, Nicole, is there anything you want to add to this kind of thing, where we're setting our stall out at the very, very beginning of building a relationship with somebody?
Yeah, just a couple of things, because you covered that so eloquently. But you know, the other day I actually got an email from somebody, part of an email sequence, I'm sure, that had the F-bomb in the subject line, and it wasn't spelled in full, but it was the illusion of the F-bomb. I knew that was what it was supposed to be, and the minute I saw that, I thought, nope, this person's got nothing for me. This person is not somebody that is going to show me a better way to market my business. I am not even opening this email. Now, yes, we tell you to be yourself, to put your personality into it so that you can attract people that you're going to resonate together. Yes, that's important. But guys, keeping it classy is really also important too, because when you put stuff like that out there, you know, you're cutting yourself off from a lot of people, and you're kind of dumbing yourself down. I know that sounds a little harsh, but you are dumbing yourself down in the perspective. No, it wasn't Gary. Gary can pull that off, right? But that's part of his, but he's not looking to, that's a whole different personality thing, right? He's got the charisma to do that, Ray. We're talking about, people that are trying to build their brand, trying to build their audience and attract people to them. You cannot do that with Gary V stuff. You have to get yourself to that place where, you've got that magnetism to pull something like that off, because when people see that, they're thinking that person is not educated, that person does not know, they're not going to be able to tell me how to work my business a better way. That's it. And that's just the human psyche. That's the psychology and the reaction of people and how they perceive you. And it's really important. Yeah, Tony Robbins can do that too. So yeah, keeping it classy and finding that good balance between having your own personality in the mix, but also being professional, guys. I mean, this is a profession. This is, you're a professional person. So be professional, and other people will appreciate that. And they will think better of you, and they will perceive you as somebody that can lead them and show them a better and more professional way to run their business. And all of this stuff on this slide, guys, I know it sounds so much harder, and oh my gosh, but it's so much easier for me to just post about my business and post about my products. Why don't you just let me be? But if you do this, this is the way that you can stand out, the way that you can differentiate yourself. And that's what you want to do, guys. You want to be different, right? You don't want to be like everybody else out there putting up putting up pictures of your products and things like that, because you're just part of the noise. You're just kind of flowing into a sea of other network marketers that are all doing the same thing. Don't do that to yourself. We want to help you stand out from the crowd. And the best way to do that is to start from the very beginning with all of the things that Danny just said. So.
Well put, well put. And you mentioned there, this might sound a little harsh. I think when I first started in this you know, well, not when I first started in online. I guess when I started to get a little bit more success and started to really understand how this worked, I initially thought that it was always best to kind of tread on eggshells around people a little bit. But I think there's a time and a place for being harsh, and there's a time and a place for saying it as it is, because, you know, I think people sometimes just need to wake up and smell the coffee and actually see what, you know, what works and what doesn't. But what you just said there about, I just completely lost my train of thought, but it leads really nicely into the next slide, which is going to remind me. So let me nudge forward here. Here you go. Who you target makes all the difference. So one of the, so when you were talking about the type of information you put out on your profile, you know, that's either going to come into a sea of network marketers that you're already connected with, or it's going to come into your friends and family that are also seeing your stuff on Facebook. And they're going to fall into the non-network marketer category, which I'm going to talk about now. But who you target when you're trying to build your business is absolutely imperative. And I know that Nicole is asked this question a lot, as am I. And the question that I get asked so much is, how do I find people that actually want to build a business? And that happens offline and online. But certainly now, more that I'm engaging with network marketers online, I get asked that question a lot. And that's where we start to look at network marketers versus non-network marketers. And if I start with the latter, people that aren't already involved in network marketing, okay, these are people that are not really looking for anything, or not outwardly looking for anything anyway. It's very, very rare that you're going to come across somebody and they're not involved in network marketing, and you're going to want to position something to them, and they're going to be open to it and going to go all the way through to join. That, you know, that's a pretty hard task to find those people. And, you know, it's because they don't have, most of the time, they don't have any pain. They're not looking for a solution. They're kind of they might be really happy with what they're doing. They're probably in status quo mode, where they're just kind of trundling along. And you've got a challenge there. It needs a fantastic amount of effort to qualify these people first off, and then to take them on the journey. And it's very, very time consuming. Some are going to be open. I'm not saying that it's a completely, you know, that you're not going to find anything there, but it's going to be a very, very much harder task. And what you're going to end up doing when you do bring these people in, which I've experienced in the past several times, is, you know, when I'm talking about bringing in non-network marketers, both offline and online, is that they don't know what they need to do. And very often they kind of get overwhelmed with the experience of network marketing, and they don't do what they need to do, and they end up quitting. That's what I've seen. You know, it doesn't happen all of the time, but, you know, it's very, very much a massive numbers game. You've got to do big numbers to find those diamonds that are really going to start to build.
You have a low ROI. The ROI is low.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, your return on your effort is just so low. It's just not an effective place to spend your time.
No, and I, especially offline, and when I first came online, I spent a lot of time there, and I didn't get a huge amount of reward from it. The key to recruiting these builders, these people that are going to deliver for you, is to speak to people that are already involved in network marketing. These are the people you want to be building relationships with, because they're already open to the concept of what we're doing. You've got over a massive, massive hurdle, because you don't have to convince them about what I always call the virtues of our profession. You don't have to tell them how amazing network marketing is, because they get it already. And they're already, again, to steal another Nicoleism, they're already in motion towards something. You know, they've made a decision to make a change, or and that decision may have been made in the last week, month, year, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter, but they're already on a journey. And these people are ready to build, okay? But so many of them are struggling to build. And if you have a way that you can show them how to build, then you've got a very, very interesting conversation to broker with that person. And then we get onto the subject of leading with product versus leading with opportunity. A massive, massive issue for me when I first came online. Until I met the Networking Superstars team, this was something that I absolutely just could not get my head around. How am I positioning myself? What am I leading with? There's now, and the thing is, with all of this stuff, once you know the answers, you can sit there for so long before you know the answers and really, really struggle. Once you know the answers, it actually just makes complete sense. If you're leading with your product, then you're going to get customers. Okay, you're going to get people that are going to buy a product from you. You may get the odd one or two that you're going to continue to build a relationship with and bring them into your business, but predominantly you're going to be getting a lot of customers, and customers are an overhead. You know, to build businesses in network marketing, you want to be getting people in that are going to build. You want the builders I was talking about at the first bullet point. You'll also still have the challenge of non-network marketing people there as well. If you're trying to get your customers, you know, if you're using the strategy that I was once taught, which was to get customers and then build a relationship with them and then bring them into the business, you've got that non-network marketer syndrome going on there and all of the challenges that go with it. It's much, much smarter to focus on the people that already get it. So I would actually say that I wouldn't lead online predominantly with my product or my opportunity. I would lead with value. And then once I built a relationship with somebody based on the value that I'd been leading with, I would then present the opportunity as opposed to the product. So we get this term that confused me as well when I first came online, develop your avatar. You know, that to me was an expensive film. I didn't really get it. But we're talking here about your perfect prospect. And it's simply your ideal customer. It's the person that you ultimately want to be doing business with. And you kind of shape this individual out in your mind. And then what you want to be doing is ultimately starting off with yourself, because the best place, certainly for me, when I think about my audience, I think about network marketers and I think about the struggles that I had when I first started and what I've learned to overcome them. And now I can teach that back to an audience of people that are still struggling because they started their journey before I did. And there's a huge audience out there. So you've got to think about looking within yourself and, you know, think about the qualities, the characteristics, the traits of the people that you want to engage with. And, you know, ideally think about where you may have been previously and where you are now. And you want to create content for that audience that is going to get them to think that it was actually written about them, and then they're really going to resonate. So if you think, you know, if I write content now that addresses the challenges that I used to have, and then I read that, I will be thinking that I wrote it for myself, and that would be right because I wrote it. But you get the message. It's all about creating content for your audience that kind of really, really touches them and touches on the challenges that they might be having. And this is where you've got your message to market match. This is where you've got, you know, you understand your audience, which is where for me it all really needs to start. You've got to define the people that you want to speak to. And then once you understand who they are, you can then start to think about the message that you're going to take out to them in order to start building relationships with them. That's the message to market match. And the one thing that you don't want to do is to start creating awesome content, because you probably can create awesome content, but post it out for the wrong audience. You don't want to be doing that. You've got to make sure that your audience are going to be receptive to what you're creating so that they're going to start to warm to you and you can start to build a relationship with them. Anything to add on that, Nicole?
Yeah, I think this is one of the initial places where people, they kind of go wrong, because like you said, they go out there and they create all this content and they know in their head, this is the message I want to send, right? I want to send this message, but they don't stop to think about, does anyone want to receive that message? You know, that might be the message you want to send. You know, my product is great, my business is great, it's great, you know, but does anybody want to receive that message that you're sending? You know, so you kind of have to, you have to stop thinking about what you want to tell people and start thinking about what the people whom you know you can help want to hear. And it's like kind of this out-of-body experience in a way. You have to kind of come outside of your own thought process and kind of put yourself, but really not, because like Danny said it in there, if you reflect back to yourself, you know, why did you start your business? What compelled you? What problems were you struggling with that you sought to solve? Like when you really sit down and peel back the layers of the onion of your experience and really kind of dig into your own experience and your own journey, and start kind of digging that up and speaking to that, that's when people are going to start to come toward you, because there are people out there that are struggling in a place where you've already been. And if you can share that and share, hey, I was there and this is, this is how I moved past it, people are they're gonna be drawn to you. That's the message people want to hear. People want to hear, hey, I get it, I was there, and this is what I did about it. And that's kind of making it ultra simple, but you get the point. So if you can do that and get that match, and what you're saying is actually what people want to hear, what your target audience wants to hear, that's when you start nailing it. And that's when your message draws people to you and you don't have to go out and chase people anymore.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. So leading us very nicely on to this slide, where your opportunity is in fact a barrier, or it can be if you use it in the wrong way. Because when you connect with new people online, then they don't know you at all. It's not like you've had, you've been out and met them for drinks, or, you've been introduced to them by a friend. Generally speaking, you're going to be, networking online, but you're going to have, as I mentioned at the beginning, this kind of technology barrier between the two of you. So you're going to need to do some kind of checking out of each other to make sure that you want to connect. We are humans, and we follow processes, whether they're online or offline. Kind of same rules apply in the back of your mind. It's about, well, is this kind of person a good fit for me or not? The first thing that they're going to do to kind of work that out is that they're going to come over to your Facebook profile, talking specifically about Facebook here. And do you know what? If all they see is your network marketing company all over your profile, then, as I said at the beginning, more often than not, they're going to be turned off. They're just going to think that you want to sell to them, and they're just going to run in the other direction. People, we come into the psychology stuff towards the end of this presentation, but people want to feel wanted, okay? And, when you build a relationship with somebody, there's a part of you that thinks, am I going to get value? Am I going to kind of gain in some way from this? Is it going to enrich my life in some capacity? And if they think that, no, that's not going to happen just because you are clearly about selling your opportunity a lot of the time, then that's not going to work for them. So, if you were to check out my profile on Facebook, for argument's sake, there is nothing at all on there that would even indicate the network marketing company that I represent at all. There's nothing on there at all. I just keep it very, very clean. And, that leads me into being discreet, because you don't have to just be about your business. I think it's always best to keep your personal profile completely clean, and inject a little bit of mystery, have a little bit of intrigue going on. This is what people that succeed online do, okay? And what you want to be doing is actually sharing your business opportunity behind the scenes with people. As you're building relationships with people on a one-to-one basis, there's no mileage to be gained in just throwing your information out there in the hope that somebody sees it and they like it, And for those of you that, like me, when we've just talked about going back to what you used to do and how the challenges I used to do this stuff all the time, and I didn't get anywhere, and I was banging my head against the brick wall because I thought, I was convinced that online was the way, but it obviously doesn't work. Well, it does. I just didn't have anybody to show me the way. But it's important. It's about being a savvy marketer, as it says on the screen. And you haven't got to be an expert at marketing to do this. You just need to understand about how people, relationships, how to build relationships with people. It's the same thing. We kind of say these things on a lot of our webinars lately, but the same things that you would do offline, carry online. You don't want to be making people feel uncomfortable. That's not what you want to be doing. You want to flip that around and make people feel comfortable, make people feel like they want to engage with you. I've said this before as well, but for me, it is game over. If your business opportunity or product information is all over your profile, it's game over, because people are just going to be able to check it out really quickly and they're going to turn and run away. It's much, much, much more effective to be discreet about it and to have this curiosity and intrigue factor, which are going to kind of draw people in, as opposed to just throwing that barrier up straight away and they'll just go off and do their own thing. Nicole, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, well said. I mean, it's just human nature. You know, we're curious animals, and if there's nothing to be curious about, we're not going to take action. So if you're laying it all out there for people to see everything, you know, nobody's going to do anything about it. They're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, this person's, you know, doing XYZ, awesome. And that's going to be the end of it. But if they can see, you know, some creative stuff that entertains them and gets them interested, and it's going to nag at their, you know, oh gosh, you know, that post, I'm so curious to know. That is how the human mind works. You know, we're just curious people. When things churn in our brain like that, we become more and more fascinated and more interested to learn more. And that's what you'd rather have. You'd rather have people wanting to know more about you, raising their hands to learn more about you, than to just see it all out there, you know, and meh, not so exciting, right? It's not exciting. So, you know, I know it might seem kind of, oh my gosh, I got to do all this extra work. But yes, guys, if you want to be a good marketer, if you want to successfully market your business, this is what you're up against. This is what you're up against. If you want to have any chance of building your business online, you got to get in the game and work your business like a professional marketer. And so these are just the basics, you know, that will help you get results with your business without, you know, driving yourself crazy. You don't have to have, you know, a PhD in marketing to do this, guys. But these are just the simple principles that if you start to, you know, put them in place and start to get good at them, right? And it's just all about practice makes perfect, you know, trying different things, seeing what works, what doesn't. That's what's going to take you there. But staying stuck in that place, you know, where it feels easier, and they told you it'll work if you just keep posting, you're just going to be stuck there forever. So it's time to make a change if you're still there, and it's time to you know, employ some of the strategies that we're sharing here with you today. Moving
Awesome
on.
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Great. So let's move on. I'm conscious of the time. Right. When I first came online, you're going to come online and you're going to find information everywhere. And I just happened to stumble across information that said, right, what you need to do is to start building capture pages and sales funnels, and you need to capture people into your email list. And I struggled massively with that because I thought, okay, we're capturing them for what? And what am I actually going to be saying to these people? I just could not get my head around it. And it was when I first encountered the Networking Superstars guys and gals about a year ago that I actually realized there's a much better way to do this. And we've talked about this in previous webinars where we say that it's always best to have a hub, a central hub, which is one place where you can hang out with your prospects and you can build relationships with people. And you can do that on an email list. There are challenges around that. I'm not going to go into these, just in the interest of time. I'm not going to go into too much about what the challenges in that are. You can do it on a Facebook fan page. Again, there are some kind of challenges around that in terms of how to get engagement because of the amount of interaction that you need. But if you do it with a Facebook group, you've got a very good place to bring people in, share amazing content, and to build really good relationships with people. There is a lot to be said for getting people onto an email list. You know, one of those things is that the email list is yours. You own that. You don't own a Facebook group because Facebook could decide tomorrow that they're shutting up shop and they're all going to go and live on a beach somewhere. That's not going to happen because they make far too much money. But you don't own a Facebook group.
But they could put you in jail. They could put you in jail.
Yeah, they absolutely can. They can do that. But there's a lot. Oh, sorry, slides. There's a lot to be said for having an email list. But people are, you know, your email address now is quite hot property because there are so many people out there that want it, which means that, and there's so many people out there that abuse it, that people are kind of more reluctant to give it up. So it's a lot more difficult to initially build in a way that I first mentioned, which is sales, you know, capture pages, sales funnels onto an email list. But if you've got yourself a Facebook group, that's a great place to build relationships. Then you can start to ask people for their email address and start to build a list that way. You've got more know, like, and trust there. And that is fundamental. Know, like, and trust, again, a phrase that we talk about very much. So, you know, I have a Facebook group. Nicole has a Facebook group. Most of the people I know that are successful in online network marketing, use a Facebook group as a central hub. And I point people towards this. That's kind of where everything, all roads lead to the Facebook group, to my community. And I now get sort of 10 to 20 leads a day coming into that group, and they're people that I can build relationships with. Now, they're not always open to that. Some people just come in and want free information, but there are people there that need help. And I reach out to them and I build relationships and I help them. And I tell you what, I absolutely love it. It's one of the most enjoyable parts of what I do, is just having this place where I can go, and I've made it my own. And, you know, I get great feedback from people, but the best thing for me is when I see people making progress and coming back and thanking me because something's helped them or something like that. You know, Facebook is a great way to connect with people on a number of levels. You've got, obviously got your personal profile, you've got fan pages, you've got groups, you've got messaging. There are so many ways that you can connect with people, but I think one of the best ways is to start with a group and then kind of branch out from there. And a group is a great place to build know, like, and trust with people, because, you know, again, going back to this whole concept of, should I just chuck all of my stuff up on my profile and hope that somebody's going to like it and you know, and is going to buy it effectively? Well, where is the know, like, and trust? Where's the relationship building? People aren't, you know, they're not going to join a business opportunity because they've come onto Facebook and thought, I probably will come across a business opportunity today and I think I'll join it. That just doesn't happen. You know, people buy from people. People engage with people, and they need know, like, and trust in place. That's fundamental to get people on the journey to kind of warming to you and coming in from the outside of those concentric circles into that inner circle of trust where they're going to be more likely to want to work with you. Got to know, so when we talk about setting the tone here, you've got to make sure that your prospects know that you're appreciative of them being there. You know, people don't care how much you know. I think I used this in a video the other day. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So as it says on the slide, you've got to welcome people in. You've got to be helpful, lead with value, give people information that they can take away and implement. You know, like I said, be caring, I love that phrase, a servant leader, be a servant leader. And what you want to be doing as well, now that you've got these people into your central hub, is to get your name out in front of them in as many places as possible. So you want to be engaging on their personal profile. Don't overdo it. You've got to get the balance right. If they've got a fan page, you might want to get involved a little bit on their fan page. You want to get them onto your email list as well, so you can start to send them emails. And what they're just going to start to see your name in more and more places, and they're going to become familiar. And then they're going to start coming back to your central hub more and more, back to your Facebook group. They're going to build relationships. Know, like, and trust comes into the mix again, and, you know, all of the good stuff happens. Anything to add, Nicole?
No, let's move on. We're out of time.
Let's move on
perfectly.
So, thank you. So this is the topic that we covered in quite some depth. I think it was on last week's webinar, actually. Conversations with purpose. I love conversations with purpose. This is all about making sure that when you start to engage with somebody, you know where you're finishing up. Well, probably not even finishing up, because you don't want to be finishing up. You want to be continuing to build a relationship, but you're going to have points along the way that you want to get to with that relationship where people are going to engage, and they're maybe going to opt into something with you, or, you know, you're going to want things to happen. So this is all about making sure that you get to know people. And I think for me, you know, if you think about when you're using a Facebook group to share content and build know, like, and trust, you're doing a lot of these conversations with purpose in the background with Facebook Messenger. And what you want to be doing here is making sure that you are hitting regular milestones along your conversation. And the best way for me to do that is to have a series of, they are scripts. You know, when I think of scripts, I think of actors that are kind of reading verbatim from a piece of paper. Obviously, they put their own personality into it, but I'm not talking about rigid scripts here, but I'm just talking about conversation flows that you've mapped out for yourself so that you know where you're going. And if the conversation does kind of veer off, then you know that you can pull it back in when you get the opportunity to take it back to the next milestone in that conversation that you want to hit. And these conversations are all about leading with value, and they're all about listening to people and asking the right questions. You know, especially when you're engaging with people online through Messenger, every possible opportunity, you should be asking a question, and then leaving the ball in the other person's court so that they can come back to you. And what you're going to get by doing that, by asking these uncovering questions, is a really good picture of where they're at, where they're strong, but also where they're struggling, where their challenges are. And then you can start to think in the back of your mind about, okay, well, how could I help them with that? What experience do I have, or what do I have access to that can help them? And as you can see on the slide there, the word listen is in bold. Sorry, it's not in bold, it's in capitals. It's late here in the UK. But the word listen's in capitals because it's imperative that you listen. I did a video on this just yesterday, I think it was. 2 ears, 1 mouth. You have to engage with people in that ratio. You want to be talking a lot less than they are, and you want to be listening a lot more, because that's how you're going to find all of these challenges that they're going to uncover. You want to show people that you're there to help them. And again, coming into the psychology side of things a little bit, people are naturally going to start off quite guarded. I sense this with certain people that I start to have conversations with, coming back with 1 or 2 word answers. And, you know, that's because there's no like and trust there. And they're going to be sitting there thinking, what's the agenda? Why are we having this conversation? And it's not until you can get people to realize that actually you just want to help them, then they're going to start to open up, and they're going to start to reveal a lot more. So you've got to ask a question, listen to their response. This is the follow at the bottom, follow the ask, listen, point formula. Ask a question, listen to the response, and then point them towards a solution. And it's so important to realize that your network marketing opportunity is not always the solution for people. It's not always going to fix their problems. If, for argument's sake, someone says something along the lines of, or you get to the point where they've uncovered that they are really, really struggling to close people into their business opportunity, is your network marketing opportunity going to solve that problem? Probably not. You're going to need something else in the mix to kind of help them to address that. But there's a number of ways that you can help them with that. But this is where it gets to the point where it's important to start thinking about how you can incorporate other solutions into your portfolio, not just your network marketing opportunities. So it might be, you know, we talked about creating content. You might want to write a free ebook. You might want to point people towards webinars. You know, we host these every Tuesday. These webinars are packed full of valuable information. So you can leverage these and tell people, look, I'm going to hang out on this webinar. This is what they're going to be talking about. Do you want to come along? I thought of you because you said you had this particular challenge. You might have written a blog post that's of value, or you might have found a blog post by somebody else that will help that person. And if by sharing that with them, know, like, trust goes up, relationship improves, steps are made forward, you're closer to that next milestone. You know, there's so many different ways to help people, but you've got to have a kit bag of value that you can start to leverage, so that when people are starting to present their challenges to you, you've got places that you can point them to. Nicole, anything to add?
Yeah, that was awesome. I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, and people might even be sitting there nodding their heads going, yeah, I have conversations with purpose. My purpose is to pitch my business, of course. Everybody knows that, but that's really not what your purpose is. It's really not what it should be. And if that's what your purpose is, and we did talk about this in more detail in last week's session, you know, that people enter into these conversations like, oh, my purpose is to, you know, pitch my business and talk to them about my business and see if they're open up front. And that's really not what you should be doing. What you should be doing is, like Danny said, you know, 2 ears, 1 mouth. You should be there to help them. You should be, you know, seeking to find out, you know, what it is that they're doing, like he said, how it's going, what's going well, you know, and what's not going so well, and plug in some resources that are going to make a difference for them. And that's when those kind of, you know, Danny was describing that feeling, and you feel it when somebody's kind of guarded with you and they're like, I'm not really sure where this person is going with this conversation, so I'm just gonna, you know, close off. But when you start to show that you really are there to listen, that you really do care, and you really do want to help them with solutions that are going to make a difference, that's when it just all falls away. You know, and people just let the guard down, and that's when things get really meaningful between you and your prospects, when they think, oh my gosh, this person actually cares about me. Wow, you know, that's a powerful feeling when you can convey that to somebody and let them know that you're really there for them, no strings attached, and you're willing to do that, not just once, but you're willing to continue to share things with them, as you think of them. Hey, I saw this blog post, we were talking about Facebook last week, I thought this might help you. Or, hey, I'm hanging out with some colleagues today, why don't you come with us, we have fun, we learn stuff, whatever it is that you're doing. Or like Danny said, I've got this free guide that I put together, it might help you, if you're interested, let me know, I'm happy to share it with you. But just things like that, when you can do that for people and really make a difference for them and show them that you are not just about, trying to figure out how to get them into your business, that you really are trying to just make a difference for them, that's when the connection and the bond forms. And once that happens, then that's when the magic can happen and things can really come together between you and your prospects, because that's what we want. We want to work with people that we like, that we trust, that we feel have our best interests at heart, that we have fun with, right? We want to have a little bit of fun together, but in essence, we want to be with somebody that is caring, that is going to always keep our best interests at heart, that's not just out to get us and out to run us through every new shiny object that comes their way. So that should always be the main focus of everything that you do online, not just the conversations, but how you're reaching out to people, what you're saying in your posts, everything should be infused with this this purpose of caring and helping people.
Brilliant, brilliantly put. Okay, Nicole, I'm going to ask you to cover this next slide because
you put me on the spot.
You'll see there's some recognition. This was the message that you were sent a while ago, and I really like this. This is
yeah, this is fun, right?
I'm going to send to you.
So I always say this to people, and I say it and I laugh, but it's really true. When you're doing something, when you're having a conversation or you're taking some kind of action with another person online, always think to yourself, is this something that I would do face to face? Because, for some reason, people seem to, I don't know if it's the barrier, like the computers between, they feel like they're in this safe place where they can just do crazy things that would never be socially acceptable offline, but for some reason they think, oh, I could get away with this. Yeah, it's still not socially acceptable online. People are people, whether they're in a room with you or on the phone with you or on the computer with you, it doesn't matter. So always think to yourself, would I really do this to somebody in person? And if the answer is no, then don't do it online. It's not appropriate socially. So, I got this message, this was a while back. And, for the sake of time, I mean, I know it's really small and you can't read it, but essentially this person sent me a message and there was no back and forth, but you can see at the top, there's a little bit of like, hey, how are you doing? And then bleh. And they just kind of, vomited all over me, whatever it was that they were doing, some kind of body and mind transformation expert. At no point, there was no back and forth, as you can see. This person made no effort to find out if this is something I'm in need of, if I have a struggle that relates to this, if I would be open to receiving this information. None of that happened. So there was none of those, like as Danny described, kind of those uncovering questions where this person was trying to get a sense of what I might be needing to see if they could even help me. They just kind of spewed it out at me and sat back and wait to see what I would say back. That's not how people interact in real life. You're going to say hi to somebody and then you're going to stop and let them respond to you. You're not just going to blah, 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 and you're not going to start talking to somebody about something that you've not assessed any interest from them yet. It's just awkward. So don't do it online. And as you can see here, the only thing that this person did right in this particular message was at least ask me before they just shoved me into this group that they have. He did ask me if I minded that he added me in, which of course I minded. I didn't want to be added in, so I declined. But this is a great example in many ways of how not to communicate with people, because this was him talking at me. and there was no chance for feedback. There was no listening on his part. There was no figuring out what he could do to help me. This person did not have my best interest at heart. He just wanted to sell me something. So did this, I don't know how much of this you can see, but it's just a really good multi-layers of wrong going on here in the message. So don't do that.
I love that, multi-layers of wrong.
Layers of wrongness.
Okay, let's press on. We are close. We're close now. Nicole, I know that this is an area of expertise. Sorry, it's the next slide. That's an area of expertise for you. With this one, what we're saying here is you don't want to break everything before you've even got started. You don't want to ruin this connection that you've made permanently by just trying to close your prospects down at the first opportunity. You know, we've talked about know, like, and trust. We talk about it a lot because it's important. You know, we might labour that point, but if you don't establish that and you try and close people, they're just going to say, see you later. 9.9 times out of 10. Okay. It's always important to build the relationship first. And, you know, think about again, from what I said at the beginning of the presentation, empathize with the person that's on the other side of the conversation. Think about how you might be feeling if somebody was having the conversation with you. And if it feels slightly uncomfortable, just don't do it. You know, stop and think about how you interact with people online. We talk here about sharing value points, you know, and 3 or 4 different value points before you even start talking about your business opportunity. Now, unless, of course, somebody comes to you sooner than that and says, look, I really want to know what you do because I think that, you know, there's something here that I really like. Obviously, then you're not going to kind of say, well, hang on a minute, I've got to give you 2 more value points before we can discuss that. But ideally, you want to just be bringing people along these milestones that I referred to a couple of slides back. And each of those milestones might be a value point. And so we've listed some of them here, but what you want to be doing is sharing value always first. Make people feel important and give them information that they can use to their own benefit. And, you know, what I've done, you know, just from personal experience, and I know Nicole's done this as well, is over the course of the last couple of years that I've been online, I've listened to some of the questions that I get asked more and more frequently. And then I've just written a very, very quick ebook. An ebook is really, that sounds far too fancy for what it is. It's just a kind of Word document that's got a front cover that kind of talks about stuff. It's valuable, but it's not complicated. It's not difficult to do. It just means you've got to invest a bit of time. But once you've done that once, you can leverage that again and again and again. And these are the kinds of freebies that if you want to be successful, you need to invest a bit of time in pulling. Well, you don't need to, but you might want to consider investing some time in pulling these together, because you can start to give them out to people. And when they see that you've done that, you go up in their estimation a notch or 2 notches. And that's a really powerful thing. So you want to be sharing value. So, you know, share some of the things that have been listed. And if you don't have any, you know, if you don't have any of these right now, which I know that many people don't, leverage other people's. I've talked about the fact that people can, you know, if you're going on a cool webinar, you know, these are cool webinars. You all know that, right? So you can tell people that you're going on, you know, any webinar that you're going to, yeah, I'm going on this webinar. I thought of you because it addresses a challenge that you've mentioned. Or you can, as I said, you can refer to, you know, leaders' blog posts, or, you know, people that you are have an affinity with. People, you know, if you're in one of the Networking Superstars communities and they write a blog post that resonates with you, and you think actually that could help someone else, point them to it, because you're adding value to that person. This is what leading with value is. It doesn't always have to be value that you've created, but absolutely at a point in time, sooner rather than later, you're going to want to start creating your own content and your own value to share with people. And it's really, really important that you do this with a no strings attached policy going on. Okay, so you are just doing this because you want to help. If people start to sense that there's an agenda, they're going to back away because they don't want to be sold to. Okay, so what you're ultimately aiming to become here is the person that your prospects and the people that you're building relationships with, you want to be the person that they're going to think of when they need something specifically relating to the value that you deliver. So for me, you know, if there are network marketers out there that are struggling to build their business online, my objective is to make them think of me and think, yeah, well, I'm going to go to Danny and ask him about that because he's given me several different value points so far, and he's just a guy that comes to mind straight off the bat. And this is exactly what you want to be doing. Nicole, anything you want to add on that?
Nope. Perfect.
Lovely. Okay. So this is the one that I was just referring to, Nicole. I got a bit confused where I was just now. The psychology side of things. This is something that I think that you're really, really good at. So if you're happy to pick this one up, I would.
Oh, well, you complimented me, so of course I have to say yes because you said something nice.
You want to do that?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, there obviously, and we touch on this a lot. There is definitely a psychology to all of this. It's the psychology of why people buy, why people join. It's kind of all the same thing. Danny said it earlier. People join people, not companies. Nobody's sitting there thinking, oh, I want to join Advocare. No, people are joining people. That's who they're feeling the relationship with. People don't have relationships with companies. They have relationships with people. I am a big proponent of not trying to convince people. Now, yes, of course, I fully believe in marketing strategies and good conversation tactics where you can help somebody discover their truth or whatever, but do not try to convince people to join you. It's a bad idea. It's not going to last. It has to be their idea. They have to internalize it. What you should do is present the value. This is what you're going to get. I'm going to give this to you. I'm going to do this for you. And if that's something you want, then let's do this. Let's work together. If there's a barrier and this is not something you want, then we can talk about that specifically, of course, but I am not going to try to convince you because it's just not, it's got to be your decision, right? If you don't want it, then you're not going to be able to see it through. So you have to let go of that desperation to try to convince people. And you really do have to kind of step back and think, look, this is what I've got to offer. If it's good enough for you, then let's do this. If it's not good enough for you, then we're not meant to be together. We're not meant to be on this journey together in that way. And that's cool. But just know that you're probably going to stay right where you are. And there's not a whole lot I can do for you, beyond what I've already done and beyond, the free things that I have out there. When people see enough value, when people see enough of what you do, that's going to draw them to you. So you have to have faith in that and focus your energy there. I wish I could remember this. It was a Tony Robbins. He said, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And I loved that because it's so true. If you're focusing on desperately trying to convince people, you're just banging your head up against a wall. But if you're focusing on really being a trusted advisor for people and solving people's problems and giving people value and being that sort of, not caretaker and, in a negative way, but just, that caretaker person, that person that they can know, like, and trust, that's where the flow is going to go. People are going to come to you because of that, and they're going to want to be around you and work closely with you because of that. So you choose where you want to put your energy. Be discerning, not desperate. You should never be desperate to work with people or to try to bring people toward you. People run away from desperation. We can smell it even through the computer. I don't know what that is. I can't describe it to you, but it's true. People can feel desperation through Messenger. I'm telling you. So you have to let go of that. You have to realize that you should be looking to work with the right kind of people, the people that are going to jive and resonate with you, because that's when you can be successful together with people. If you're looking at somebody and thinking, I can't really do much to help this person, or this person and I don't feel like that's going to be, then don't do that to them, and don't do it to yourself. Look to have good relationships and good rapport with people so that you can have success together. Your MLM should be the premier way to accessing you and working with you, obviously, because you're building residual income together. So that should be the ultimate way for somebody. And Danny said it earlier, you should have many ways for people to access working with you because it's just smart. You don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. It's a bad idea. And even if you don't think anything can happen, do not do that to yourself, because you never know what can happen. It's just one simple thing can change everything in one opportunity, and cause the whole thing to go sideways or, you know, unexpected things to happen. You never know. Protect yourself. Build a solid and sustainable business. That means multiple streams of income, which means multiple ways for people to work with you. If you just have your MLM, then you're going to be turning away a lot of people, or a lot of people are going to be saying no to you. But if you have other ways, okay, if this isn't the right way for us to work together, cool. I've got this going on. I can help you this way. All right, that's a great fit. Let's do it. So don't leave all that on the table by just having an MLM, right? Because by nature, you know that most people are still going to say no. So you want to have those multiple streams. So what you bring to the table is key. Like I said before, people are joining you. They're joining for what you have to offer, for what you are going to give them. They're not joining for, you know, I mean, they might be in love with the product, sure, of course, that's part of it. They might like the comp plan that they read. I mean, everybody's got a different mindset and a different thing that they're looking for. But in the end, it always comes down to you, right? So you have to sell yourself. That should be the only thing that you sell. And by that, I don't mean get all salesy and pushy. I just mean show what you can do. Show what you know. If you've got results, share them. I know it feels icky to toot your horn, but do it in a classy way, you know, so that people can see what you can do for them, because that's ultimately the message you're trying to send. You're not trying to say, hey, look at me, I'm awesome. You're trying to say, hey, look, I can do this. I can show you how to do this too. And that's really the message that you want to be sending to people, so that you can show them how you can help them achieve their goals. At the end, everybody's here to earn money. I mean, that's really what this is all about. We're trying to pay our bills, support our families, you know, quit our jobs, whatever. How are you going to help people achieve that? You know, give it to them specifically. And, you know, what are you going to plug them into? You know, you've got to have some kind of resources, some kind of, you know, a lot of times you'll see blueprint or, you know, 6-step process or whatever it is. What can you give somebody that they can replicate and go out and get results with? Critical stuff. That's what you want to come to the table with, not, hey, here's my MLM. Go check out the video presentation and let me know. That's not what it's about. I hope that makes sense.
Made perfect sense. Brilliantly put, as I knew it would be. Thanks, Nicole. Okay, so just to kind of wrap up, we've talked this week about a lot of the precursors. We've talked, you know, about when it comes to closing, it's not something that happens at the end of the process. It is the process. You know, you are always in the back of your mind. I think it might be one of my sales managers that said to me years ago, is that always be closing. And that is kind of true, because it doesn't have to be an uncomfortable situation that crops up right at the end of a process. It's something that just naturally happens. And what we're going to talk about next week, we're going to share some really important information about how to have strong closing conversations, because it does get to a point, obviously, but you've been doing a lot of work along the way to make it nice and easy. So we've got some really, really cool tips to talk to you about next week when it comes down to kind of like the crunch, if you want to call it that. So, you know, be sure to check back in with us next week. Absolutely. So just to kind of wrap it up, Nicole and I developed a project that is in the context of what we talked about this evening, it's a fantastic way for people to learn a lot of the skills that we've talked about this evening. You know, if you want to create those value points to share with your prospects, if you want to, you know, think of several new ways that you can offer value to people, you know, if you want to think about ways that you can introduce third-party training for some of those solution points that you can monetize, if you want to think about building out additional streams of income, you know, and I think if you want to become an expert on social media marketing, doing it the right way, the way that gets results, then the Today Money project is something that you might want to be considering. We put this project together initially because it addresses a key challenge that network marketers face, and that is that they can't earn an income quickly enough while they're building their long-term residual with their network marketing opportunity. It takes time to do that. So what we wanted to do was well, in fact, the problem that we were addressing is that network marketers were quitting or considering quitting because they weren't earning enough money. That was the bottom line. So we wanted to find a way that we could help people to earn what we call Today Money. And we set up the Today Money project to achieve that. But what it also achieves is it provides some very, very comprehensive training on how to do stuff online the right way. And it also provides something that's so important. The more and more I talk about this to people, the more I believe it, a congruent income strategy, a way of building an income that you can build alongside your network marketing business so you can stay in that world. So you don't have to be pulled away from it to go to a job that's got nothing at all to do with your network marketing business, got nothing at all to do with the dreams that you have really heavily associated with that network marketing business and the goals that you really want to get to, but somewhere that you go because you have to pay the bills. The Today Money project is a congruent income stream. And you can see on the screen here, we've got a lot of stuff that we've thrown into this project. And I'm not going to read through all of this just in the interest of time because we are 15 minutes over. But if you want to know more about the Today Money project, you want to learn how you can do some of the stuff that we've talked about this evening and how you can start to build out some of these offerings and become an expert on social media and earn Today Money ultimately, because that's why we called it what we did, then get back with a person that invited you here today and they'll share some more information with you, or raise your hand in the chat room now just to say more info or something like that. I can't see that, but Nicole can, and we'll be happy to plug you back into the person that you need to speak to in order to help you with that. And with that, at 22:16 on Tuesday, the 4th of October, I think that's it. Nicole, is there anything you'd like to add?
Woo, we did it.
Do you have any questions?
Over, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Yeah, the lateness kind of set us back a little bit, but we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. And by the way, they were commenting on, actually complimenting on your lovely accent. That's the chatter that was going on there in the box.
Oh, that's nice to know.
He likes how you say process.
Process, like that?
Yeah, because we say process.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, process we say here.
We hack it up, process, but you say process. It sounds so fancy. So everyone is, yeah, okay, awesome. Now we're getting some good compliments. I'm so glad to see this, guys. Thank you so much for your feedback. That is so helpful to us. We appreciate you guys so much. And like Danny said, we're going to get into, today we kind of laid the foundation for, setting the tone. And next week we're going to get into more of the nitty gritty on, closing and a two-phased approach for actually doing that successfully and bringing people into your business, right?
Absolutely. Loads of good stuff next week. We couldn't cram it all into an hour. So we had to split it across 2 weeks. Right.
That's a lot of awesome sauce right there. 2 weeks worth. So yeah. All right, guys. So we'll see you. Rucker says, okay, he's dropping the F-bombs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys, thank you for making this fun. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us. Bring your F-bombs next week and let's have some more fun.
Definitely.
All right, guys. We're going to sign up for now. I don't see any questions, but you know where to find us if you need us. So we'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad place. Make sure you're here. It's going to be good. Bye, guys.
Yeah, see you later.